and the sun lounge. We should have brought 10 girls to join us for the day just to put this into perspective. So you're just going to have to make do with my fat belly. So it's been a good year for you. You're moving up in the world. It's time to stand up and stand out. Well, if that's what you're looking for, I might have just found the boat for you. My name's Dan Jones, this is Dan's Boat Life, and today I'm on a Baia 54, an Italian stallion. This thing is made to move. We're going to do a bit of a walkthrough, we're going to do a test drive. I'm here with Dave Sullivan from Sydney Vessel Management, who's actually got the boat for sale. He's been kind enough to organise a day on beautiful Sydney Pittwater. So yeah, come along for the ride. Hope you enjoy. So here we are, we're going to start on the back of the boat. We've got a fixed transom platform. This design of boat, it's really for the med market, which suits our Sydney climate perfectly. Going from location to location, entertaining with your friends, chucking the toys in the water and having a great day. This fixed platform here, it's plenty big. She's a 54-footer. We've got some slots here to allow some breathing when the boat's going up and down through the wash, and I can see a couple of mounting points which may have previously allowed for a tender chocks. We have a fixed swim ladder on the port side, and moving up through the transom, we've got this entry on both starboard and port, but the main entry is on starboard, and hidden underneath this platform, I'll show you just now, is what we call a passerelle. So I'm not going to deploy the passerelle, but just by flicking this switch here, that gives you access to this passerelle here, which is a hydraulic boarding platform. I'm just going to put that down. And that allows, when you're doing stern to in the Mediterranean, that allows you to get on and off the boat. In Australia, it's a diving board for the kids. There might be a few locations where you do have an actual use for it, but it's mostly just a bit of a diving board. I did notice when I was down there, this boat, it's top notch. The quality is next level. It's got a built-in pressure washer. I was just blown away by that. So we're going to see lots of little hints to the high quality of this thing as we walk through. So that's the aft section of the boat there. We've got lots of nice custom stainless as we come through. I can see the logo Baia imprinted into the cleats, which is nice. This capstan winch here, this is for pulling yourself into the dock. So if you've got lines and you need to bring the boat closer to the dock and you don't want to actually use your muscles, that's what you use this for. We've got one on either side. Great big sun lounge. So this is, you could put 10 people on this. So this is amazing. Perfect for those that want to get a little bit of sun, but the most beneficial aspect to the design on this boat, being in Australia, is the hard top. So we're going to walk around the outside of that, but it's a proper hard top. We have a convertible roof, and we've got a little bit of a bimini extension, so those sitting on the forward section of the sunroof can at least have their top half in shade and their legs in the sun, depending on what angle you are. Coming into the main part of the cockpit, this is a social boat, so we have a nice big lunch table. You could put 2 directors' chairs here, and just for size, everybody can sit down at lunch. So this is ginormous. It's got great big wraparound. We're facing the Helm seat. We've got a 3-person capacity on the Helm seat, which is huge, and lots of space to move around. So you're not going to be trying to squeeze around your friends when someone's maybe preparing some drinks at the minibar, which we'll have a look at right now. So we've got a cold water sink just here. We've got an electrically operated barbecue just here, or a hot plate you might call that. This looks like a pretty new isotherm fridge, and just a little storage in here. I won't bother opening that. Okay, moving forward. Something you don't see too often in Australia, but you can find many uses for it. This is the crew quarters. This is actually a single cabin with a toilet, but it doubles really well as a day head. You know, if you've got kids coming on and off the beach, or people in and out of the water and they're sandy and wet, this is the place to send them down to go to the loo rather than downstairs. Underneath this seat here, we have storage for a life raft or extra boat bits and pieces. We've got our Fusion stereo system. We've got speakers dotted around the boat. I can see 2 very large ones on port and starboard on the Targa arch. And we've got down lighting all the way around the rooftop just here. So natural ventilation through the sunroof is possible, but we do have air conditioning running. So the air conditioning unit for the cockpit is just down on the port side, and we've got vents that's pumping out nice cool air right now, and then 4 more vents all the way up around the top there that I can see. So that's not only going to keep this area nice and climate controlled, but it will also demist the windows. So if you ever had an issue with moisture on the windows, you could flick that on and demist it. Helm station is great. We're going to cover that when we go to the test drive, so I won't talk too much about that just now. But the Helm seat, just for size, as I said, 3 people, not a problem, and heaps of space for standing and moving around at the helm. You could move in front of your friends, no problem. And for the short asses like me, you've got a footrest, which is great. This is comfortable, visibility is good, and transitioning from sitting to standing is easy with friends on either side. You're not going to have an issue on this boat. Come with me and we'll have a look up on the bow. So, for the safety conscious of you out there, this is not the boat for you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the look at me people. I'm talking to the people who appreciate lines and looking back at a beautiful boat, because that's what you get up here on this stunning piece of kit. Nothing about safety whatsoever. It's all about look at me, lovely, lovely stainless wraparound rails. You can't see, but you will see when we cut to some of the drone shots. It's got a stainless gunnel strip all the way around the boat. It's in perfect condition, and it just looks sweet. The anchoring setup is top notch. It's overbuilt for a boat of this size. And the sun lounge, we should have brought 10 girls to join us for the day just to put this into perspective. So you're just going to have to make do with my fat belly. But that's the sun lounge. It's massive. We do have an opening hatch here for ventilation. 2 windscreen wipers just here. Nav lights on either side. This is our opening sunroof. These grab rails are essential moving forward and aft, so you will be using these. Proper air horn, our radar mast and other instrumentation, spotlight, VHF aerials, and the sunroof, we've tested it, works great. Pretty simple system. You're not going to have any issues there. Essentially, the look, being an Italian boat that they're trying to achieve, is minimalistic, it's clean, and it's straightforward, and I think they've done that really, really well on this boat. So here we are downstairs in the Baia 54. First thing you notice, lots of high gloss, good quality timber work. So nice finishings, soft furnishings up on the ceiling here, really high quality timber work. It's got a plush, expensive feel about it downstairs. First things first, moving our way down the starboard side, we've got a couple of knick-knack shelves here. That'll be good for keys and wallets, lockers just in the corner. They've made use of every spare inch in this boat. They haven't been lazy and just boxed out corners or curves. They've turned it all into really nice cabinetry where you can store things. So I got some pantry storage up here, sensible lock on the full-size fridge. Open this up and you've got a lovely kitchen, a full-size fridge that you would have in your kitchen at home. A double burner cooktop just here, that's going to run off the genset. A single sink here, and wow, that's all part of the one moulding. That's pretty fancy. Normally you'd see a separate stainless fridge there, but this is some sort of black Corian, I would say. Drawers, cupboards, pantry storage all the way around. Ice maker just in here. But look at all this, the curves. It's just top-notch joinery. You don't see a lot these days. It's very well finished. We've got the polished timber floor on the galley moving to carpet, and then again made use of all the space with these lovely curves as we make our way around. The saloon, sort of in terms of space, it kind of mirrors the cockpit, so if the weather did turn or for some reason you wanted to come downstairs and move the party, everyone's going to have a seat down here. We've got a couple of these little poof things that you put your feet on, but I'd say that's perfect for someone else who wants to sit on that side if you've got a little intimate dining setup going on too. Behind me, I've got a large opening port. We have another one on the other side. You definitely want to make sure those are closed before you kick the thing into gear, but that looks like ship quality in terms of the stainless work, so it's good. Small flat screen here, probably a little bit dated, but it is what it is. And again, some nice plush trim dotted around the boat as we make our way through. Come forward with me and we'll have a look at the master berth, which is lovely. So we got an island bed here. We've got storage on either side. We have hanging lockers, both on port and starboard, and drawers under the bed. And what's that, a proper queen-size bed, again with large opening windows on either side. We have these little indents each side of the bed, which is the perfect place to put your phone and your wallet. And we've got a charging point, albeit a Euro point, which you'd need to just plug in the Aussie converter. So yeah, very well set up for a comfortable night at sea. We can get some more air in through this hatch as well, but this area is air conditioned, and all the flooring is carpeted with a couple of steps going around either side of the bed, so you're never going to be interrupting your partner if you need to get up in the night and go for a pee. And if you do need to go for a pee, you go to your own private head, which is just on the starboard side. In terms of space, comfy, heaps of room. You know, big guys are not going to be feeling squeezing into this little loo area here, but I've got some storage behind the vanity area here, hot and cold tap, more storage underneath, a full stand-up shower, and I'll just step in here. You know, I can still do my thing in here, and if you stand that way, you actually have a bit more room. And the headroom, I'm 5'7", there's 6 foot of headroom here easily, so that's fine. You've got space for all your, you know, your shampoo and your soap and that sort of stuff. And another opening hatch here to keep this area ventilated with some blinds for privacy, so that's neat. Great big thick door here too is the other thing I've just noticed. So a little bit of and it's sealed with this rubber. I like seeing stuff like that on boats, because if you do need to go to the loo and make a bit of noise, no one's going to hear you. Moving our way back down to the VIP. VIP's on port side, and it's a twin bunk cabin. Finished off beautifully. Like, a few years ago, this red finishings might have been a little bit dated, and I feel like it's back in fashion now already, so hey presto, it's cool. But nice polished headboard, storage at either end, another little storage area in the middle, power for your phones, beautiful finishing everywhere you look. You look up and it's finished. You look to the side and we've got little timber strips and highly polished and nice worked timber to wrap it around and finish it off. It's just lovely. A bit of headroom, you know. I can almost stand up here and I can not even touch the roof here. So you've got more than enough space to get dressed in the morning. You've got your full hanging locker just here. You've got some more storage on starboard and your knickknacks just behind the bed there. An opening window, but we are air conditioned, and your own private access through this door into the day head, which doesn't have to be the day head because we can use the crew cabin for that. But in terms of this one, it's all ahead. So we have a wet area just here, sitting on the loo's fine. Lots of space behind the vanity for storage and below the sink. And it's got a large fixed shower screen. So if you are showering in here, the shower head's just up the top there, and you can just put this screen across, and that's going to keep this toilet area and the vanity dry whilst you're using it. So that's great. Moving to the kiddies cabin, or the third cabin, the VIP 2, I guess you'd call it. We've got a double bunk setup, so it is a little bit more tight in here, but this is for the kids really. This would be a great cubby house for kids to come down and play and have fun. They've each got their own space. One port and starboard, the other one forward aft. You've still got headroom to use to get change, a little bit of storage, locker here, an opening window there, and a nice ledge running down the side here, which will hold things, phones and devices. And a bit of storage through this locker just underneath one of the beds just here. So that's great, and definitely for the kids or your less important friends. So we're about to take this boat for a bit of a drive, but I'm just going to talk to you about what we have at the helm before we do that. Then we're going to get her up on the plane, and believe me, you are going to be excited with this. It's a hell of a lot of fun. First thing is, we're running Arneson drives, so they're surface drives. They're gigantic big propellers which extend out the back of the boat on long arms. So if you picture these long arms which have the ability to go up and down, as opposed to straight shaft drives or stern drives that a lot of people are used to, or IPS drive units, this is the bee's knees for performance. So what we're doing, we're getting great big propellers down deep and low for when we take off, and then we angle those shafts at up to a high degree when we're going fast, chuck a great big rooster tail out the back, and get this thing up, going and fast. So what are we looking at? It's Volvos. It's twin V12 700 horsepower motors, and I believe you could have even gone to a higher horsepower selection on this model when it was new. Not that you would need that. It's the electronic throttle, so that's fly-by-wire. Up on the dash here, we've got all our engine systems, so you can glance to your revs, your temperatures, your gearbox and your engine pressures, and then the all-important trim gauges. So that's going to talk to us about where our trim tabs are and the angle of the drives as well. So that's going to help us when we're getting up on the plane. We've got two newer Garmin displays just here, so you can cycle through what display you want. We've got them. We've got a 3D picture here and navigation there, but that you do have options to have different displays, and you can swap them around. The compass that nobody uses these days, Fusion stereo. This is an autopilot with a rudder angle indicator on it. And on port, this is quite important. So what's going on here? We start with the bow thruster and then steering for the autopilot. But these four levers here, you will see me operating these up and down. They're very easy because it's not something you're going to be looking down at, because we're a quick boat. We will be cruising at 30 knots. You're going to be reaching down and just touching them like this, and that's going to be operating the trim tabs and then operating those drives. And you really drive by feel. You look at the bow, take a glance out the back, see how much rooster tail you're kicking off, and glance at your speed, and you will get a good feel for it. I'm just going to start to get the boat lined up into position here. So what are we looking at? We've got the trim tabs. Italian speak, they call them flaps, but it is essentially trim tabs. Trim tabs up, trim tabs down. I'm going to start with the tabs in the up position, and this is the drives just here. So this is what controls them, and I've got a display at the helm just here. So I will be starting with those drives in the fully down position. Now I've engaged both engines forward. I've got the tabs in the up position, and so we are in idle forward and we're climbing through 6 knots. So that gives you an idea of how much torque there are on these propellers and with these stonking great big motors. We have had a little bit of a spin before we turned the camera on, and one of the first things I noticed was the quality of this hull. This thing is next level. This is built to a high standard. It absolutely cuts up the chop. She's big and heavy. You'd have no worries about going through decent chop, and I would have no issues of running this boat up and down the coast, cruising at 30 knots. Not a problem. So there we go, 7.3 SOG is our idle speed forward. Just, how about that? You really got to know what you're doing. So now I'm just going to check for a clear runway. Nobody's ahead of me. A couple other things worth noting whilst I'm here at the helm. Visibility is fantastic. I'm a short guy. I can still see over the bow when we're on the plane. No issues whatsoever. These pillars here are a little bit thick, but it obviously, you know, it shows that the boat's got a strong hard top. I didn't find that a problem in terms of spotting for dangers. So as long as you're actively looking around, you're not going to have any issues there. It is air conditioned at the helm. It's a stinking hot day today. We've just got a little bit of airflow coming through from the opening sunroof, but I've got air conditioning vents. I can count 4 in front of me, a 5th one off to the port side. So that's not only going to demist the windows for us, it's going to keep this area nice and cool. And this space here is super beamy. I know it's a big boat, but it just seems to utilise the beam in the cockpit very well. So here at the helm, whilst the wheel is centered, I could have a friend here and a friend here and still operate this boat whilst underway. And with the U-shaped lounge just facing the helmsman or helmswoman, it's quite social. So I don't have any other boats that I'm going to annoy. I'm just going to slowly bring her up onto the plane. Alrighty. Oh yeah. So we're just coming through 15 knots there. Drives are still down. I'm going to raise them now. Raising the drives to half heights, and I'm at 2,000 revs. And now I'm going to raise them again, just a little bit over 50%, and I can hear the load has just come off the motors, and my angle of attack is really good. I'm sitting on 29 knots. I've got plenty more horsepower at the helm, and I'm going to go wide here just because I've got a few boats. Lovely day, a few other people are out here. I don't want to annoy them. Already I'm kicking off a little bit of that famous rooster tail, which it's a non-intrusive show-off, a rooster tail. I think the straight through exhaust systems on the V8 motors you get on many classic boats the days gone by is a real in-your-face show-off, whereas the rooster tail, it's just cool. You can hoot past the restaurant, up the harbour, minding your own business, and everyone's going to see you. So I got to say, that is pretty cool. I'm just going to give you a little bit of trim tabs down. We're going into some swells here. I'm going to go around this yacht. Increasing the power there. We've got 15 knots of breeze across the water, maybe a little bit more. So it is building a bit of chop, but this boat is handling it. I'm going straight into it right now. She's handling it, no problems. Get rid of those tabs. Next thing worth noting, going into these waves, she's parting the wash beautifully, and these side windows are dry. So you can be down the back of the boat and you're going to stay protected. Obviously, inside this cockpit area, you're protected already. Okay. Just going across the waves there now, so you're going to feel some of the waves on the beam. We might see some more spray. Once again, dry windows. That's interesting. Now I'm going to open her up a little bit. and I'm just going to give the drives a little bit more of a increase. So I've angled the drives up just a little bit. I'm powering through 2,000 revs. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Okay, I don't care how old you are. This is fun. Okay, a little bit of waves, a little bit of wash on the windscreens, but I did plow through a fast one there. We're now doing 33 knots. I can actually back off the power and still maintain that speed. We'll do a couple little gentle turns here and see how the boat feels. I'm just going to go to starboard, all clear. So the steering feels quite light to touch at this sort of speed. And now we're just going to take it to port. And we are just eating up the miles at the moment. Visibility, once again, no issues, didn't have any problems getting on the plane. If you were transiting between lunch locations and you had a bit of a drive, this is fine. You can just relax like this, one hand on the wheel. If you're in close quarters and you need to be on the throttle, this is quite comfortable. You can nestle yourself into the corner and it feels sporty. You feel like you've always got power in reserve. And everyone's going to be noticing you. So, 30 knot cruise speed, you go places quickly. We left Sydney's Pittwater, we're in the basin where we started, we're already at the Central Coast, 10 minutes later, not even, and coming into beautiful Patonga Beach, where there's a wonderful restaurant. The Boathouse group run this particular location, and it's very boat friendly. So this is the kind of thing you would do on a boat like this. I'm just going to come off the plane, so I'm going to drop the drives, I'm easing the throttle. Visibility is still good. I'm coming back to 50% power there, so I'm on 1500 revs, dropping, so a bit more than 50% actually. And not too aggressive. Bring those drives right down. So, what's my wrap up on that? This is an exciting boat. This is a boat you have fun on. This is a boat that's unique. I'm not aware of any other of this style in the country and this particular size. I've seen an 80-footer floating around Sydney Harbour before, but you are going to be the one and only belting around with this boat on the harbour. The performance is amazing. It's definitely a 28 to 32 knot cruise speed and higher speeds possible if you want. The feel at the wheel is light and responsive at speed. Takes a little bit of getting used to at slower speeds, and the angle of the drives in terms of operating these joysticks here for the drives and the trim tabs is very natural. It's quite easy. That's not going to take very long to get used to. Whilst we're here in a bit of open water before we go into the restaurant, I'll just disengage and talk to you about the slow speed maneuverability. So we'll just stop the boat. So because these drives angle from left to right, it's going to be similar to what you'd be used to if you'd come from driving a stern drive boat. You do want to make sure your rudders are in the center position. There is a rudder angle indicator on this boat, but you're really just get a feel for it. If you're driving in a straight line, your rudders are obviously centered and you can count the turns from left to right if you need be. In terms of transverse thrust, we'll find out. Yep. It's really nothing to it. You probably, if you're new to boats of this size, you might get a little bit freaked out by the amount of wash the props create at the back of the boat, but that's just a fact of having very large drives. They're going to move some water. But in terms of, we'll just go back the other way. In terms of responsiveness, yeah, it's fine. This is what you'd expect. We obviously have a bow thruster as well, but there's no issues there. That's something one could, with a bit of training, get very used to, and finishing it off with the bow thruster. And obviously you can tighten up your turns by incorporating some steering wheel into that maneuver as well. So I don't see any issues there. Crikey, that was awesome. I'm actually lost for words. So if you're one of those people who is looking for quality, if you're looking for a unique boat, if you're looking for looks, you want to stand out, then the Baia 54 is absolutely your boat. This thing, it's perfect for blasting through chop, maintaining high speeds, entertaining lots of people and making an impression. So if that's you, get on down to Dave Sullivan's website and have a look at this boat. The link is going to be in the description below. I'm Dan Jones. This was Dan's Boat Life. Hope you enjoyed.